Yes, you. Welcome to the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast, a podcast for people who want to disrupt their lives for a good reason, to make it count. I'm your host, Jen Glantz, and every week I'll drop a new episode with stories from real people just like you, who woke up one morning and decided to make big changes, starting with small things. We'll cover topics like entrepreneurship, love, failure, and self-care. Hey, you're not getting any younger, so let's make this an adventure. Ready? Today's podcast is brought to you by Thinkific. Thinkific is the #1 platform to create, market, and sell your own online courses or membership sites. They have revolutionized how individuals earn and learn online by building an all-in-one platform designed for both course creators and their audience. Try Thinkific for free today at try.thinkific.com/Jen Glantz. That's try.thinkific.com/Jen Glantz. You are going to love it. Hey, any youngers. It's me, your host, Jen Glantz, back with another episode of the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast. Today's episode is a short one, but it's hopefully going to be helpful for those of you who are working at a job and you always wanted to ask for more money, but you weren't sure how or even how to start doing that. So in my Odd Jobs newsletter, which you can find at oddjobsnews.com, I put together a expert advice tip-based article on odd ways to ask for more money because you deserve it. But before I tell you those tips, which are from experts, I'll be straight up honest with you. I have never asked for a raise in my life. I haven't worked in a corporate job in 7 years, but when I did work in one, I had trouble approaching my boss and asking for more, which is for so many reasons. Like, one, I was young and inexperienced, and two, I just lacked confidence. But I've done a lot of hard things in the corporate world, but asking for a raise just wasn't something I ever did. I usually waited for my annual review and listened to what they had to say. And at one job, they had to say, no raises for anyone this year, but you're taking on more additional work. And another company gave me a raise only for the next year to lay me off. So that was my experience. But I wanted to find out from experts what you can do to ask for a raise. So I'm going to tell you the tip, I'll tell you the expert, and hopefully these will be helpful for you. Okay, tip number 1 comes from Lauren Cook McKay. Lauren says, practice your pitch and anticipate questions. Many people find asking for a raise unusual and unnatural, but if you've prepared ahead of time and you can research all the potential questions you're going to get asked about this raise, you'll come in feeling a lot more prepared. And having this real talk with your boss can be scary, but if you know what you're going to say, you can anticipate what they're going to say back and practice how to respond, you're more likely to get the raise. So if you want to follow Lauren's tip, make sure you role play. Make sure you have a friend come over, ask them for the raise, however you're going to do it in real life. Ask them to push back and figure out ways of answering their pushback so that in real life, when you go ahead and do it, you'll be prepared and confident. It's hard to ask for something if you don't feel confident doing it and you don't have the research and the practice behind it. Tip number 2 comes from Maria Thompson, who says to skill up. When it comes to raises and promotions, you can showcase all the cool things that you've been doing, but another thing to show is all of the skills that you've learned and taken upon yourself to learn that maybe you weren't asked to learn that could really value the company. If you can skill up in the areas that help your boss or the company, you'll have an easier time selling why you deserve that raise. So, like Maria said, what are 2 or 3 skills you can master this year so that when you do ask for that raise, you can say, yeah, I know my job, but I'm also qualified in these areas that can really help the company. Take some courses online. Google has a ton of free courses, Skillshare, Teachable. There's tons of places out there where you can take these courses that can then help you get certificates to add to your resume or to even bring up when you're asking for the raise. Okay, Anton Giroux says get risky. Try looking for another job and get an idea of how much other companies are willing to pay you. Then let your manager know that you're seriously considering other jobs out there that are paying you more. This might work. It might make them think, oh no, I have to retain this employee, so let me up the pay. But again, it could backfire. So make sure some of these other jobs are viable and they're jobs that you might actually want to take. But make sure if you're going to do this, you find comparable jobs. You find jobs that are similar size company to yours, that have similar resources to really show that side-by-side comparison. Thomas Hawking says, pay attention to timing. It's everything. Asking for a raise and the company's not doing well can hinder the response that you get. Wait until profits are up, or the company had a great quarter, or there's something big that happened that added to the company's success that can then maybe add into yours. So pay attention to the timing, and if you're not sure, ask around the company to get a better feel of how things are. Jeff Main says, consider other options than cash. When asking for a raise, most people do ask for more money, but there's often other things that you can ask for. More vacation days, more time off, maybe even more benefits for retirement, other things like that. Maybe even some stock in the company. Think about other things the company could provide if they don't have the cash funds to give you that monetary raise. And Dan Barrett says, talk about the future. So when you're asking for the raise, don't just talk about what you've done, talk about what you plan to do next year, which might sound obvious, right? But the more you can hit home on not only what you plan to do, but what you've put into place to make that happen, the more likely it is that maybe you will get that raise. Okay, you can see all these tips and more on oddjobsnews.com. There's a whole article on here. You can meet the experts and you could follow these tips because, my friend, you're not getting any younger. Don't be like me and be scared to ask for a raise. Make getting a raise a huge part of your 2022 goal. You need the money, you deserve the money, and you know your value equates for a lot more than you're getting paid. I'm cheering you on. All my love, Jen Glantz. Hey you. Thank you for listening to the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast. There are hundreds of thousands of pods out there, so thank you for listening to this one. You can find the show notes for this week's episode up on our website, anyyounger.com. Subscribe, rate, and review the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast on iTunes so that other ears around the world can listen too. Oh, and join our secret You're Not Getting Any Younger Facebook group, where over 1,000 people are talking about how to disrupt their lives, for a good reason, to make it count. Until next week, all my love, Jen Glantz.